Hi guys, happy Friday afternoon. Welcome to my regular Friday afternoon Ask James stream. Hope you're all well on this Friday afternoon. For those who are joining in on YouTube perhaps for the first time or listening to the audio for the first time, I'm one half of the Planet FPL podcast. The way this works is this is a YouTube live stream. Basically, any comments or questions that go into the chat, I will cover. Just before I get into the questions, just to cover what we've done this week as a bit of a catch up in case anybody's missed it. So on Monday night we did our main podcast, plenty of bants in there, some Champman FPL stuff. We also looked at how lower league clubs can potentially survive in football. On Tuesday we did people's poll on I'd say a crisis in Greece is a little bit of an exaggeration, but some of the match fixing claims that have been going on with Olympiakos, a case from 2015 that's being reopened. Essentially, Greek football is quite murky, having looked into it a little bit more. On Wednesday, I did a quiz on the history of the League Cup, which I know quite a few people have enjoyed. I've enjoyed some of the feedback on that, seen some of the scores, some high, some low. Obviously, I did my Champman stream on Wednesday night. Yesterday, I had a great time both looking back on and recording a podcast on Middlesbrough's 1996-97 season with Emerson, Ravanelli, Juninho, 2 domestic cup finals, but a relegation, deducted points for failing to fulfill a fixture. Plenty of bants, and obviously now I'm here with the stream, and I'll be doing Champman FPL Game Week 12 tomorrow. So let's get into chat. Let's see who's in. Taz says, hello, James. Hello, Taz. What's my views on Bruno Fernandes being in the team of the year after only playing 5 or so games? Well, let's be a little bit careful here, guys. It's not team of the year. It's something that I believe that was voted for on the BBC website, which I guess Manchester United fans have done their very best to sabotage. Congratulations. Well done. There's nothing to say on that, is there? I mean, Bruno Fernandes obviously not in the team of the season. I'd even pick the Spurs midfielder over Bruno Fernandes. What's he played? 5 games, as you say, Taz. So I think Jack Grealish was the missing name from that team that probably should have been in it. Nick Griffiths in the chat says afternoon. So to Angus McPhail. Hello, guys. Angus says, with players from multiple clubs breaking quarantine rules and Cole Walker breaking them for fun and not getting punished, do you think Premier League clubs are sending a bad message to the public fans? I don't think you can blame the clubs for what an individual player will do, right? Because, I mean, what have we got? 20 clubs with squad lists of named of 25. Once you add in reserve youth players and all that, you're looking at circa, what, 1,000 footballers? Like, they've all got different personalities, different wants, different needs. Some of them will be well behaved, some of them bad. The Cole Walker was obviously a complete prat a few weeks back when he had his little party, shall we say. But I've seen his comments from earlier today about going and visiting family in Sheffield, etc. And he's not, I don't think he's done himself any favours, but I do understand a little bit about the intrusion. I mean, why, it would be tabloids, wouldn't it? Why they feel the need to go and, well, just because he's an England player and because there's already been a bit of headline around him. Walker, unfortunately, has brought it on himself a little bit. But, you know, what, you're going to go and follow someone from, like, Manchester to Sheffield and stuff? Get a life. Like, no matter what we've heard in the media about bullying claims and all this sort of things in terms of targeting people like Raheem Sterling, it just won't change their ways. That's why there's such an undercurrent of people who are just like, have got no sympathy for these newspapers that are in trouble and that. And if this is their way of trying to, like, survive as businesses by trying to find out what Cole Walker's doing in his spare time, then, I mean, come on. Does anybody really care? Maybe it's just me. I don't really give a shit if Cole Walker goes to see his mum in Sheffield. Like, so what? That's, yeah, it's just bullshit, really. And Cole hasn't come off well in terms of his statement today either, in fairness. He's looked like he's quite needy and stuff, and he should have just let it go. FPL Badger Mark, our Norwich correspondent, in the chat, he says, your throwback to Borough, and if a Premier League side has ever been remembered as fondly. I remember the year Barnsley came up, late 90s, everything egging them on. Yeah, we got something Barnsley wise coming up. I don't intend for it to be the Thursday throwback, which I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do, but it's definitely going to be something Barnsley. I can tell you on our 24-hour live stream on the 23rd that I think people will enjoy looking back on a little bit. We'll have a guest on to talk through that. Some of you can probably guess who that is. But yes, they were a very good side. I think Middlesbrough were the first ones to coin the "it's just like watching Brazil," and then Barnsley really took it over the next year with world-class players like Ashley Ward and Neil Redfern. But yeah, they were fun. They were also a bit of a car crash. There's some good stories behind that Barnsley season as well. Heavy Finger Sevens in the chat says, cheers, James. Looking good and fresh, mate. Oh, I've had a shave and yeah, he had one yesterday. I prefer the beard, but there's certain levels where for the child I have to get rid of it basically, because then he's like, go away, Dad. I don't like that. Graph Vasily Filkov says, hi, James. Do you play poker? Yes, although I haven't for a very long time. There was a pub in Southgate I always used to go and play poker in on a Monday night, and it could go on to about 3 o'clock in the morning. And in my old job, when I worked in the betting industry, I always used to take Tuesday mornings off in case it went silly late, because it could get a bit messy. It could go from like 8 o'clock on a Monday till, if you were doing really well, sort of 2-3 o'clock in the morning if there was rebuys and whatnots going on. But when I started working with Sudsha, I had to give up them Monday night gigs because it was just getting a bit silly trying to go till 2-3 o'clock in the morning on a Monday night and then going to work on the Tuesday. And it's like you're struggling all week then. So I had to give them up, and I haven't played a lot since then. I've been to a casino a few times. I see Andy Martin's in the chat. My favourite ever memory playing poker was actually in a casino in Bournemouth, which Andrew would appreciate. I went to see a friend down there. And they pulled and I was like, what? So I was basically on my Todd, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going casino and I'm going to get the first train back to London in the morning, because I was meant to catch around there. I was like, I'm not being anybody's, like, no, I sod that, right? So so I ended up going to a casino in Bournemouth completely hammered. Basically the whole going down to Bournemouth for the day turned out as a complete freebie and more. That was inspired me having to buy a more expensive train ticket to get back from Bournemouth in the morning. I had a very good night. I mugged some geezer off with a really nice flush. And yeah, I basically just stayed there from it was about 1:30 till it was like 5 when the first train was. I was just trying to make sure I didn't lose my money basically. But yeah, that was a good night. But I've not played much since then. I've been to Stratford a few times. They can be messy nights. I don't like the vibe in there that much, and the lighting is absolutely awful. Gives you a headache. You got these like really bright blue lights last time I went. Awful. So I just didn't feel like I enjoyed myself. The service there in terms of drinks and stuff's really poor at Stratford. But yeah, like a game of poker. Yeah, absolutely. I used to fancy myself a bit, but it's been some time since I played. Angus McPhail says, slightly different angle on that night in Amsterdam. Is there anyone you would have wanted from that Ajax team for Spurs after that? Yeah, the majority of them, Angus. Yes, obviously it's 1 year to the day since the greatest football night in my life. Actually, no, scrap that. Greatest night in my life. My son was born at 5 to midnight, so the rest of the day was pretty shit, other than the fact Spurs won at Crystal Palace. Who would I attack for? All of them, mate. All of them. Near enough, all of them, mate. I mean, De Ligt, obviously, Van der Beek, Ziyech, who's going to Chelsea. What a good team, man. De Jong, just a brilliant, brilliant team. Yeah, I mean, they were better than us in nearly every department, no doubt about it. And, you know, although people remember it because you've seen the highlights so many times, but, you know, we was out without Kane and stuff as well that night. No midfield with obviously Dembele gone. Wanyama started again. Llorente, the hero in the second half. God knows how we pulled it off. Be able to take most of that Ajax team, mate. Great side. Mind you, De Ligt will never forget what Fernando Llorente did to him. I think Llorente had, in the second half of that game, I think he won. It was like the 4th most headers in a game in the Champions League last season, something like that, something ridiculous, which He only played the second half, right? He tormented them. He was just a nuisance. They couldn't deal with him. They hadn't played against anything like that before. Andrew saying good afternoon, as I mentioned in the chat. Richard Roman says, I wonder what his mum cooked him. Who possibly knows what that will refer to? Heavy Finger 7, on the Ajax night, do you know if any travelling fans did not catch that unreal ending because they might have left early? Oh my gosh. No, I can't believe that would have happened. I'm sure there's a few people probably would have had it in their mind at half time if Ajax score again, fuck it, I'm going back into town. Especially as you know somewhere like that, that you're going to get locked in for quite a while. Mind you, I mean, kind of pushed us out the door in the end because we would have stayed there all night, I think. No, I'm not aware of anybody missing any of it that was in Amsterdam. Not aware of that at all. I'd be very, very surprised. Obviously, there's famous stories of plenty of Spurs fans who missed the end of the 4-4 at Arsenal in 2008. I wasn't there that night. I suspect if I had been, I might have missed it, genuinely. So I was glad I was in the pub, so I wouldn't have wanted to be staying for that. Listen, it was a minute to go, Arsenal winning 4-2, and it only looked like they were going to score again. John Gerhard Sanzin says, hey, James. Richard's saying again, this time something I might actually understand. Whatever your thoughts, if the league continues without relegation, do you think this is likely? The speculation is that the FA will try and block any compromise to relegation in any ways. So there's obviously been, the situation has continued to evolve. I think there's been quite a backlash to the suggestion of cancelling relegation. One of the things we discussed on, I think it was Monday's podcast. Yeah, it would have been Monday's podcast. Was actually, if there's relegation is cancelled for the season, what are we even fighting to go back for? What we're fighting to go back, and if Chelsea perform well, Chelsea finish top 4, and there's nothing left. Liverpool win the league. Chelsea finish top 4 with Leicester, Man City. All right, Wolves, Sheffield United, and a few others going for Europa League places. You know, other than the clubs involved specifically, who gives a shit? So I think much of the drama left of this Premier League season will be involving those sides at the bottom of the league. So no, I can't see a circumstance where there's no relegation. It's just against everything that we stand for in our league. I think if we get to that point where we're looking at no relegation, we might as well just say we're not playing. That's my opinion. And it's going to be harsh. It's going to be harsh for the 3 teams that go down because the rules are changing halfway through the season. But we're in a circumstance that nobody could have foreseen. So I don't see them getting away with it. And I don't actually see the point in completing the football season if there's no relegation. That's my honest opinion. Andy's saying got to be Grosvenor on Westover Road. I don't know the name of the road, that casino in Bournemouth, Andy, but you'll know it's right by the park and that, down at the bottom before the beach and that. Those days are behind me now. Andy, we can sort out a game of poker, I think, mate. Danny McDonald, afternoon, James. How good was that Ajax team in person? Had they progressed to the final, do you think Liverpool would have beaten them? Yes, I do think Liverpool would have beaten them. Because I think the one thing that night showed was when Spurs scored, they didn't have the experience or the understanding of the pressure to deal with the expectancy. They panicked. All they had to do was calm themselves. Okay, they've scored. They're still winning 3-1. Calm the game. And they panicked. You look at the second goal again, in terms of them positionally, they're panicking. It's a minute or two after the first goal. And that in that moment, it looks like it's last minute of the game. They're all over the place. So I think they panicked. The weight of expectation got to them. I think Liverpool, yes, would have done them over in the final. Probably would have given them a better final than what we gave them. Although, as I said when I was on FPL Family a few weeks ago, it's very difficult to understate how hot it was. And the early goal had such an impact on what obviously ended up being a poor football match. I think it might have been a very different final. Obviously, I still think Liverpool would have won the final. But, you know, if it had gone to 15, 20 minutes and still been 0-0, I think we would have ended up with a better football match eventually. I don't think they would have beat Liverpool, but they were terrific. I couldn't shout enough before the first day. I couldn't shout to people enough going, don't underestimate this team. Like, anybody had seen them like in Turin or in the Bernabeu in the previous 2 rounds, had seen something unbelievable. Don't go to Madrid and win 4-1. You don't come back from behind and win in Turin against Juventus. It just doesn't really happen. So they performed unbelievable feats, and it just was one of those rare occurrences where you just get a great team of young players all come together at the same time, a little bit like the Ajax team from the early to mid-90s. Josh Riddle, FPL poker game can play on PokerStars, could be worth a go. Yeah, there's loads of people actually trying to set up those sort of games in the community, Josh, so it's quite easy enough to have a look around and find them, I think. Sam Thomas says, hi, James. My dad has very fond memories of Hereford United holding Spurs 1-1 at Edgar Street in the FA Cup in 1995-96 season before travelling down to White Hart Lane for a replay, which I'll finish the sentence and say that Spurs won 5-1. I can tell you, Sam, or he also goes on to say, do you have any recollections of these games, or would you have been at the replay at White Hart Lane? Appreciate it was a while ago. You're underestimating me, Sam. Yes, obviously I was at the replay. Hereford's got a great goal really late on. I think Sheringham and Armstrong both scored twice in the replay. And if I remember right, Ronnie Rosenthal put us ahead in the first game, which was 3rd round cup tie in 96. Hereford equalised. Hereford missed a penalty at 1-1. I remember where I was, Sam. I was in PC World on Southbury Road in Enfield, which will mean nothing to 99.9% of you, with my mum and dad listening to the game on the radio and giving my dad updates as we were walking around PC World. I can't remember why specifically I was in there. I guess the mum and dad wanted to buy something, presumably. I would have been 12-ish or so. But yeah, I was listening to the game on an old little Walkman with some shitty little headphones, giving my dad updates. And I remember it being quite a disturbing experience because we probably should have lost. So there you go, Sam. Andrew Martin, I was thinking about how mad it was that Juninho joined Borough. Was trying to think of a modern day equivalent. Coutinho to Southampton. I think for a modern day equivalent, Andrew, you'd be looking at more like a younger player. So I'm thinking more like Haaland if he'd have gone perhaps straight from Salzburg to someone of that equivalent at Southampton. I mean, it's worth saying that Middlesbrough were spending money at the time, but Middlesbrough are not a particularly sizable club. They have good support. They're the sort of club that should be bottom half Premier League / top half of Championship. That's status level wise where they should be. I think they do have the planning permission if they want to, should they get back to the Premier League, to increase the capacity at the Riverside to 42,000. But when they last came up, they weren't selling out every week. Whereas go back to look to the attendances in the 90s and even the noughties, that place was full every single week. So economic difficulty, increases of pricing and stuff's probably had a little bit of an effect on that. Equivalent to Juninho now would be, oh gosh, you're probably looking at like fitting in terms of league position. I don't know, like Palace buying one of the most sought after young kids, like, you know, really someone who's just broke into the Brazil team or something, who was like their number 10. Juninho was such a good player. When I was researching for that pod yesterday, you know me and my memory, I didn't have to do a lot of researching for it, but I found myself watching like a review of Middlesbrough's season, every goal and that involved. I really enjoyed it because of him. He did everything at such a fast pace, whether it was passing, running with the ball. He was 5'5", but he just had so much energy. He wasn't afraid to get stuck in, and that was a brilliant, famous picture of him at Newcastle, giving the old pointy finger up to Philippe Albert. He wasn't frightened or bothered, mate. What a brilliant little player. Paul Coleman says, behind closed doors, one-day penalty tournament, sort this leagues out. 5 players plus keeper plus manager, all tested, free table, will throw out some interesting results. Yeah, Spurs might win the league, Paul. It's a fairly ridiculous concepts, to be honest, mate. That's just not proper playing at all. It says players not wanting to put family at risk don't get involved. Takers can practice at home, minimum amount of risk and loads of fun. But yeah, I'll take a penalty for Spurs. I ain't bothered. We might as well do that then, innit? It's a silly idea, Paul, that let's play football or not play football. All these other ideas are, let's reduce the minutes of half. Right, well, we're not playing the game anymore now we're talking about playing 5-a-side stuff. So no, that can't happen. On the issue of behind closed doors, next season, guys, is going to be behind closed doors if we get to that point. And when I say we get to that point, I mean we get to the point where the season successfully ends and we restart. I think we're in a position where it's actually going to be announced pre-start of season that no matter what the status, if we get a vaccine in December, January, whatever, football season's behind closed doors, end, finished. That's what I think we're looking forward to. I find the prospect of behind closed doors football awful. I have no want to watch it or see it. Now, I obviously am going to, for podcast purposes, etc., I am going to sit there and watch all of it. I'm obviously going to watch every Spurs game. I can't think of the word. I'm just not looking forward to it. It's just going to be shit. Football as we know it is just not on the table right now. And I've seen there's about 20,000 people jumped on a stream today to watch the Korean leagues restarted, a game in Korea, about 20,000 on BBC's website watching that now, I think, because people are just desperate to watch some football. I mean, really? Is that where we're at? We're now watching behind closed doors Korean football. And I don't mean any disrespect to that, but I'm saying to you, I don't even want to watch the Premier League product behind closed doors. Football without fans is nothing. You think of that Liverpool night against Barcelona, imagine that with no crowd. Think of the Spurs night in Ajax, no crowd. Just think about those things. What have we got to look forward to? Imagine the Euros next year. We're going to take it all over Europe, no crowd. That's a strong possibility, by the way. You have no want for it, no desire to see it. It's just football without fans is nothing. And I was thinking about it more, and I was actually thinking in terms of other sports, that's the same. There are a few sports where you think, yeah, it's acceptable to go without crowd. Even if you take some sports like, say, snooker, obviously it's 98% played under silence. But in terms of if you're watching a big match from the World Championships, you still need that ooh moment from the crowd when he misses the easy black and gives control of the game to his opponent. You still need, even in that sport, you need that. Think of like the Ryder Cup in golf without spectators, even just the majors, etc. What is it? What is it to watch as someone sinks on the 18th to win the US Masters and there's no one there? What is that moment then? Tennis, same thing. What are the moments without crowds? And I know we got to do what we got to do, but it's not something I'm looking forward to. I'm sorry. It's like I'm not bothered about FPL at the moment. I know it's not what people want to hear, but I can only speak truthfully about how I feel about things. Josh Riddle says, idea for the live stream, top 10 referee howlers. I really like that, Josh. The worst ever refereeing decisions in Premier League history. I like that as an idea, Josh. I'm going to make a note of that mentally. I might well come back to that for the 24-hour stream. Like that. That is a good shout. FPL Badger says, best thing about that 4-4 Arsenal Spurs game was the Spurs lad who ran on the pitch and joined in the players bundle and Lennon. Yeah, he looked like someone I know as well. It wasn't, but yeah, it's one to tell the kids, isn't it? I don't know how bad the guy got banned or whatever, but yeah, he just went for it, didn't he? Andrew Martin says, because of the fixtures this week in Champman FPL, blimey, we've got 24 minutes and no one mentioned it other than me. Because of the fixtures this week in Champman FPL, I've seen a few contemplating bench boost. Do you think it's worth it? Nope. And my bench is going to look really strong, I think, this week, Andrew. At the moment, I'm looking at a -8. And you can tell me right now what you think of this move, Andrew. I'm looking to bin off Dabizas, Harry Kewell, and Henrik Pedersen for Ashley Cole, Alan Johnson, and Alan Boksic. That's the -8 that I'm looking at. Means I'll have Van Nistelrooy, Omri, and Boksic up front. I'll have 2 United defensively, Cole, Stillaby, and Hart. The only ropey one in my team is going to like the goalkeeper, which is Casey Keller of Spurs. But I just feel like I need to keep being aggressive with it, Andrew. It's not like my usual FPL style, but it's doing okay for me at the moment. And I just feel like if I'm missing things, and I feel like I've got to get some Borough in now with this home fixture against Sunderland tomorrow. If I keep missing that, it's gonna cost me. So it's a -8 as part of the Shield. I'll accept that I'm probably with that hit going to hit a little bit of a red this week. So if I can keep floating in the top 100, I'll stay in. On the subject of bench boost, Andrew, my thinking currently, and apologies for those who are not playing the game and this doesn't mean anything to you, so feel free to skip on for a minute. I am intending to look at free hit currently at 15, Andrew. And my thinking behind that, as I'll talk through on my live stream tomorrow, is obviously on Sunday night, we'll know who's probably going to be in that double game week. Certainly we'll know one more of the 2 fixtures. Southampton, Aston Villa currently. We'll know if the other one's going to be, it's Blackburn and Leicester, or Southampton and Chelsea, isn't it? Chelsea are not great at the moment, let's be honest. But my thinking is if I want to load up on the doublers for that game week, I don't actually really want much of these clubs before or after. And therefore, I think unusually it's then attack that as a free hit. And then when, say, 22 was going to be a big concern, perhaps, I think the teams that I'd want are still going to be playing in that game week. So I'm not going to need that, which would have been the shield for what would be the blank game week later on. So I'm very much leaning towards the free hit 15 rather than, say, a bench boost now or bench boost 15. I suspect that 16 from things that I've spoke to about other people might not be as big as some people may think, and therefore I think bench boost is probably going to wait till February time. And the way it's shaping up, if these 2 Leeds games get postponed, the triple captain is going to hang back for a Leeds game, I think, for an Ian Hart or a Mark Viduka, which will obviously probably be likely later in the second half of the season. That's my thinking currently on Champman FPL strategy, but that is by no means locked in, and I'm aware that that game can shove you in the face and your plans really need to change quickly. Richard Roman says, what did his mum cook for him? Remark is referring to Kyle Walker's mum. Oh, I see. Got you, Rich. Appreciate it now, mate. Danny's saying is, who in your opinion was the greatest team in Premier League era? I think Man United late 90s, early 2000 for me. Yeah, I think you probably got to go for the treble winners, haven't you? I think it's the most iconic one. Would love to have seen that United team play the City team. Would have loved to. Arsenal of that era, 98 to 04, were very, very good as well. I have to say that. And, excuse me, the Chelsea, obviously, 05, 06 teams of Mourinho and the 2010 team with Ancelotti were obviously very good as well. And obviously, United reinvented themselves. You had the first team that won it, then the late 99s, and then obviously in the later noughties, sort of Rooney, Ronaldo, etc. So they invented themselves several times over. I was thinking one of the ideas I'd thought of in terms of for the 24-hour stream was maybe running a poll on Twitter and then us having to do a topic that we, in theory, could plan for, but we wouldn't know which one was going to be talking about. And one of the things I was debating putting in, which I probably won't, was the idea of what would be a best ever Premier League side between the 2 Manchester clubs. And I was thinking about this, and then I thought about that United 99 team, and I'm just thinking, how in the hell do you leave any of that midfield out? Giggs, Keane, Scholes, Beckham. And you think about it, we can't leave Giggs out with that longevity. Keane would be the best sitting midfielder between the 2 clubs of this era. Keane, for me, would win out over Fernandinho. Personally, I'm a big fan of Fernandinho. Scholes would have to go in. That's genius. And then Bex would probably be the one you put out. And then if you pull him out, who are you going to put in? You put the City guy in? You got to put Ronaldo in, haven't you? What about Kevin De Bruyne? What about David Silva? How do you pick the midfield from those 2 teams? I mean, who you'd leave out would be fascinating. And I don't think we'd ever find an answer. I just, personally, I couldn't leave any of them United players out. I think I'd have to, and then you think, oh, I'll go one up front. And then you think, oh, that's quite an easy choice then. So it's got to be probably Rooney and Aguero up front. And if I go one up front, who am I leaving out? Am I leaving one of them out for a De Bruyne or a Silva? Really tough call. Really tough call. Both sides have obviously always played a back four, so I think you have to go that way. I'd probably go Schmeichel, Irwin, Kompany, Vidic, and I'd probably just go Gary Neville over Zabaleta, I think, personally. And so then if you think about that as well, even that, the makeup of that team, the majority of that would be from United's 99 treble team. So I think, yeah, the United treble team would still be the best for myself, I would say, in my opinion. FPL Badger, 16th of October 1999, Derby v Spurs. I was dragged along by a Spurs mate and was in the away end. Was you there? What was the score? And who got the goals, if there were any? You're a fucking bastard, Mark. Yes, I was there. I had a thinking for a second that it was the year earlier and someone who shall not be named scored the only goal. But actually, yes, I was at Pride Park that day, Mark. Spurs won 1-0. Chris Armstrong scored the goal in front of us. And this was the game that I've spoken about, the Ledley King game. Ledley King's debut. You were there, Mark. Ledley King's debut when Rory Delap crunched him after 2 minutes. Accidental, but, firm challenge. And it was the injury that he carried for the rest of his career. It's that game, mate. From 16th October 1999. Yes, Chris Armstrong scored Spurs' only goal. We played in a yellow kit, which people thought looked like an Arsenal away kit, so I never bought it. Danny McDonald did have a Spurs crest on it, importantly. Danny McDonald says, I'm a Hull fan, so we don't have any memories of the top flight. Do you remember the 1-0 in 08-09 at White Hart Lane? Giovanni free kick, yep. And 0-0 in 09-10, Boas Mile, world class. Boas Mile saved absolutely everything in that game. I remember one particular save from Modric, ridiculous. Yes, I do remember those games. Yeah, we seem to struggle at home against Hull a bit more than we did in away games, actually, Danny. Danny Sainz is most dominant centre-half in the Premier League. Now, our Premier League history says afterwards, I'm going to say John Terry, reluctantly, I think. Yeah, John Terry over Kompany for me. I think they're the best two. As much as I want to put Ledley in there, I think they're the best two. And then I think Vidic, Tony Adams has to come into consideration. Those would probably be the four. Then probably Jaap Stam underneath that. Those would probably be the top five, just thinking of it off the top of my head. Yeah, I'd go reluctantly, Danny. I'd say John Terry there. Heavy Finger 7, what's the status of Spurs season ticket renewals for 2020, 2021? Normally, when should the process start and what do you feel about it now? Very difficult to say. The process is it's been frozen, so the renewal application was due to open at the end of March and stay up until I think around about now, actually, mid-May. You didn't have to make any payments in March, but you certainly had to start your payment by May. That's when the application to reapply to say, yeah, we're doing it, would have opened. They then closed that. I think it was meant to open the week we were meant to play West Ham, which would have been game week 31. And obviously, the United game game week 30 was postponed. So then they froze it immediately to say that we're not going to open it now. We'll confirm at a later date. So obviously they haven't reopened, and I think the status is, mate, that there won't be no season ticket because all the football will be behind closed doors next season. So where we're at is, I think we'll have to pay some sort of season ticket for online or something to watch the games. I still think you'll have your games on Sky, BT, whatever, and anything else. I think you'll probably have to do it via some sort of club channel in terms of streaming site and that. I know a lot of people will obviously go and do that illegally. I will still give my club some money because that's how I am. And I think a lot of football fans will be like that for their own clubs as well. Obviously, then you stay on the database as well. It's really important. I could imagine that now as well. They go, well, if you don't pay for this, you ain't having a season ticket when you can go again. So I think we'll have to pay for it anyway. It'll be what it'll be. be what it'll be. You know me anyway. I'm one to fight the good cause for ticket pricing on a whole anyway, particularly away ticket pricing. But then I'll still pay it whatever it is. So that's why I never moan about it too much, because, and I'm sorry, this is for everybody else, that I'm one of them melons who, if I want to go and watch my team, I'll pay whatever it costs. That's it. I'm not going to be in that position where it's an away game. I think, oh yeah, fancy going to Villa next weekend. Obviously, it wouldn't be next weekend, it'd be 5-6 weeks where I'm going to go. Tickets 45 quid instead of 30. I ain't going to go. It's fucking round the drinks. I'm going, whatever it is. I've paid some. I mean, my season ticket average price per game is basically 65 to 70 quid per game when you work it out on an average. So, and I chose to sit where I sit. I could have had cheaper seats elsewhere if I wanted to, but that's the seat that I wanted in the stadium. So that's what I've got. And by the way, that is nowhere near one of the most expensive, by the way, just to clarify. Paul Coleman, referring to his penalty shootout idea, says, cheers. No, it was silly. It was inspired by the reduced half matches. It is reduced halves, Paul, and then it's just fucking reducing, full stop. Danny McDonald says, hopefully a season without fans in the stadium will show the clubs how important the fans are. Some owners need reminding. Don't they just? Don't they just? There were some clubs who are doing brilliant things with their fans, not just now, but obviously beforehand with football and that. Spurs ain't one of them. I can certainly say that now. So the thing is, it's supply and demand a little bit, right? So the bigger clubs think, well, if the attitude of Spurs is always, whenever we've had issues with, and I haven't too much recently, but whenever we've had an issue with ticketing or anything in the past, I'm probably going back further here, sort of noughties and earlier, the answer was always, when you had a problem, if you don't like it, don't come anymore. That was genuinely the response that got given to my father a few times. And he's like, what? The fuck you? I've been coming every week here for 40 years, and that's how you're going to treat me. But still going to go next week, right? So that they know. If I don't go anymore, Spurs don't care. I don't matter to Spurs. I'm a client reference number, so I describe myself. That's what I have. That client reference number and my little card that gets me into the games, gets me to access to tickets for away games, etc. That's what I am. I'm a client's reference number with history. That's it. If I decide that my client reference number is not going to be used anymore, they go, well, next in the queue, mate. And you just go back. You just go back to the end like you never existed. Yeah, I hope that many things in football will change, Danny, and I hope that the way that fans are treated is one of them. But guess what? They've all got an excuse to hike the prices again now, haven't they, Danny, when they said that they wouldn't for many clubs. Oh, yeah, but now under the global pandemic, we need to cater for the amount of lost earnings that we didn't get last year, etc. And you're thinking, and the fans will pay, I will pay. And that's why they treat us like shit. It's because of people like me. I'm sorry. Richard Roma says they need a razzmatazz during games, live chats with managers and subs, cheerleaders 6 feet apart, etc. That's your idea of football, Richard. I'd suggest you watch the NFL, mate. Doesn't sound like my football. Christopher tells in, hey there, James. Sort of a follow-up question to the one I asked for Monday's pod. Who's the one player you'd love to see take over at Spurs, assuming, of course, that money isn't an issue? We're talking about manager, right? I think I said Nagelsmann, didn't I? Would probably be my shout from Leipzig, because he quite simply, he's young, he's ambitious, and he wants to play football the right way. That's it. That's all I really want to see. I'm not like most other Spurs fans at the moment in terms of being obsessed with the trophies, etc. Honestly, if you take what you said to me, right, you've got 3 or 4 League Cups over the last decade, and it hadn't been 12 years since your last trophy, or have the night in Amsterdam to tell everybody about forever. Give me the night in Amsterdam every single time. All I want is to have a team that I can support and enjoy and make me believe. That's what I want. I want them to make me believe that I can get behind them and give them everything that I've got. The team at the moment, and it's not just the manager's fault, in fairness, doesn't give me that feeling. And that is like the lowest place you can be as a football fan, to have no belief in your own team. When I say no belief, I don't go to games thinking we're going to lose every game. I've got no belief in them in terms of what they're trying to do, in terms of a structure of the way they're trying to play. And that's a bad place to be. And so before anybody's thinking about what's going to be good, bad, etc. for Spurs, I want to start enjoying it again. I don't think the man in charge is ever going to give me that. The only way I believe he can do it is winning football. Now, if in 3 years' time he's delivered things and his winning football was giving me trophies, I will accept it. I've always said that. The one thing about him is, if he's going to be in charge, he has to deliver. There is no, like it was with Pochettino, in terms of the feeling that he gave us as a football club, the way the supporters felt for him and vice versa, and that feeling we had for the team. That feeling's gone. So now Mourinho has to deliver. There is no excuses. He has been brought in to win trophies, and he has to do it. I don't think he's capable anymore. So yeah, I would rather see someone come in with fresh ideas and play the game stylistically. And I think if Spurs were ever to come back out and then go and win a league in the next 10, 20 years or so, forget 20 years because financially things can very much change, and Spurs will be a power in 10 years or so. Saying the next 5 to 10 years, the only way they're going to do it is by, in my opinion, having a coach come in with some fresh ideas and a different brand of football who can just collectively get it together at the right place, the right time. Don't see that Mourinho is capable of doing that. Paul Common, nice -8. What's the latest on doubles? That'll be for Champman FPL. Follow the official account. Make sure you watch Andy and Dave's Championship Manager stream 9:30 Sunday night. Will be essential. The latest is we're looking at a few doubles in 15. Game week 16 is very much in the air, and we're really not going to know till lastminute.com. So there's not a lot of plan you can do for it. That's why I'm thinking free hit game week 15. FPL chancer Pedro Mendes disallowed goal at Old Trafford, easily worst Premier League referee mistake of all time. You might be right there, Dan. You might be right. I broke up with a girl that night because of that. She didn't. I was so upset. So upset. She was like, "Oh, come on." I was like, "Nah, you don't get it. I've never seen my club win at Old Trafford. You don't get it. We just won." And someone's told me we haven't won. Nah. I didn't care either. About her, I mean. Patrick Lawson wanted Boxic to remain a bit of differential. That's obviously not going to happen. No, he's obviously not, mate. And I've probably just completely ruined it for you, mate. Sorry to tell you that. Patrick Lawson saying Yaya Toure instead of Scholes. Can't have that for a second, pal. Sorry. Very good Yaya Toure. Comparing Yaya Toure over 3 or 4 very good years against Paul Scholes, very good. What, near 15? No. Paul Scholes is one of the most underrated footballers I've ever seen. I don't like talking to people about that Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes debate. It's not even a question for me. Paul Scholes all day, every day. That's my opinion. Nobody will change that opinion. How many points Veron will take this game week? 15, 20 or 25, says Optimus Prime. For you, Optimus, 1 point. FPL Badger. Oh, wow. Didn't know that was Ledley's debut. What a claim to fame I can share with you. There you go, Mark. Optimus, serious. I want to bring Aston Villa attack. Is it a good idea? Well, it's up to you, mate, isn't it? It's up to you. Be aware that Juan Pablo Angel might go missing if who's he fucking paid for? Colombia can't play a World Cup qualifier. Follow the Champman official tweets, mate. They'll explain it to you better than I can. Danny McDonald, I remember the 5-1 against us at the KC. Defoe was on fire that night. Let's forget the 7-1 as well. I was there at both of them, Danny. Good days they were. The 5-1 game was a midweek night, and it was balmy hot. It was like vest weather, never mind t-shirt weather. It was so hot that night. Even in Hull, I know that's hard to believe. It was a balmy night. Yeah, and we were good. And the 7-1 was a brilliant end to the brilliant 16-17 season for us as well. Josh Riddle says, any memories of Arsenal getting beat by Luton in the 88 Cup final? Must have been a good day for Spurs. I won't use the Y word in this chat, Josh. Don't want to get shut down just yet. Well, I'd have been too young, Josh. To be very honest with you, I was born at the back end of 83, so I'd have been 4. But oddly enough, Josh, because I was obviously doing the research for the quiz, I did have a deeper dive into that game this week, literally. And what I didn't know was the chances that Arsenal missed when they were 2-1 up, with obviously Nigel Winterburn missing the penalty, and they missed some sitters as well. And then Luton beat them 3-2. So yeah, that actually probably made the memory better, remembering that Arsenal absolutely should have won for some of the chances they had. Alan Crane, if Jaap Stam is in the reckoning and only played 79 games for United, surely Virgil in the reckoning of top 5 dominant centre half, 67 games for Southampton, 81 for Liverpool. Yeah, to be honest, Alan, Van Dijk absolutely is in there. I think when I say Company and Terry, by the way, I think ask me again in 3 or 4 years, then Van Dijk will be one of those two. So yeah, I was just naming 5 off the top of my head. But yeah, of course, when I get asked a question like that, my instinct is to think historically, not think now. Yes, Van Dijk, I would probably put in there at the moment, 3rd or 4th. Yeah, he would certainly be in there, Alan, to be fair. Brian, do you think the press will get into sport, change a career, James? I'm not sure what you mean by that question, Brian. Really sorry, mate. Richard Roman, FIFA just confirmed 5 subs will be allowed. FPL could be a bit of a farce now. Yeah, exactly. Who cares? Paul Coleman, with your double mid players, yes, great this week, but Man U next, a bit of a worry. Yeah, I'm absolutely aware of that, Paul. Notorious Nerd, will you watch any Bundesliga game this week? No, I'm not intending to. Is the honest answer. I just think it's going to make me even more sceptical about the Premier League's return because knowing what I'm going to be seeing. So I don't intend to. I'm not saying that I won't. If I'm bored and I think, yeah, do you know what? I'll particularly obviously the first is it tonight or tomorrow? I think it's 2:30 tomorrow, isn't it? Dortmund and Schalke. Yeah, I might have a look, but I've no intention of doing so, to be honest. He also says, any good show you're watching on Netflix? Nah, too busy with content. I'm working harder on content now than I would normally be because I've got the time to do the planning, like the research for the League Cup quiz and Middlesbrough podcast, stuff like that. So generally, I'm researching in pretty much all of my spare time at the moment. Quite often I don't need to, but I'd rather get the facts of things correct, particularly like the Olympiakos pod. It was a really difficult one to prepare for because remembering Greek surnames is one of the more difficult ones. You see or you read about a name and then a minute later you're like, I can't remember that geezer's name. It's just gone from me. It's just the way it is with Greek names a lot. I think a lot of people struggle with that. So now it's literally, sorry, Notorious, I ain't watching any telly. There's literally nothing. CBeebies is on my TV day and night. That's it. Jonathan Nagy was in Madrid for the final last year and got offered a ticket for £2,000. I couldn't afford it personally. Would you have paid that? Yes. Sorry. So hopefully, Touchwood, not a position I'll ever have to be in when I would have to. But yeah, I would have. Yeah, once in a lifetime. Imagine me, all these games I've been to and then missed the Champions League final. Yeah, that's not happening. Jeff Holston says, hi, James. Hope you and family well. We're doing fine, thank you, Jeff, and hope yours are well as well, mate. Brian Yule. Oh, where's he gone? Sorry, lost you in the chat there. Who is the best person to manage in the Premier League over a reasonable period of time but never win a trophy? Poch, Allardyce, maybe. Poch springs to mind, doesn't he? Yeah, Sam's a good shout, actually. I know he got battered for a lot of the stylistic stuff and that, which, I mean, his Bolton team, the one that people always give stick about was Bolton team. Yeah, they went quite direct, but actually, they were all right, man. There's some good players, didn't they? Akocha, Djurkaeff, and then later the Kevin Nowens and the Kevin Davises. I mean, those two especially, they were hard to play against, and that's what I think people really disliked as well. But I think for me, I didn't mind them so much as well because Arsenal absolutely hated them, and you knew when they played Arsenal were going to hate it. So I think I always had a little bit of a soft spot for that Bolton team because of that. Oh Jesus, I need to give that some real thought. My gosh. When you're saying like any trophy at all, like even a League Cup or something, your Poch has got to be right up there, isn't he? Keegan win anything? But I still think with Keegan, as we did on our podcast a few weeks, but I think a lot of it was he was a good motivator. I don't think he was a great coach. And he knew how to get the best out of players, and he was blessed, particularly at Newcastle, to obviously have great players and be able to buy great players. Yeah, I feel like Poch would be right up there, wouldn't he? Klopp, obviously, but he's won the Champions League now. So if you're including other trophies other than the Premier League, then Poch, I think. Josh Riddle said, watched the BT chat with Pochettino the other day. Must have been an emotional watch for you boys. I haven't watched all of it, mate. I don't want to. I've seen most of the clips on that through my timeline, and that. Yeah, brutal. Hopefully, I think if Spurs change ownership, he'll be back. That's what I think. And I think he might be back anyway. But I do think I think he'll take the Newcastle job now. I think he'll get offered it at some point. And I think he'd actually be wrong to turn it down. I think he should go and do that and get the bottomless pit of money. Let's see what he does with the money, because I'm always a little bit skeptical with. I know Levy gets blasted for the transfer stuff. I think there were a lot of transfers that Pochettino turned down. I think he's very, very strict in terms of who he wants personnel-wise in his squad, in terms of their personalities, their characters, etc. I don't think Pochettino would ever buy a footballer without wanting to meet the person. If you've read the book with Balaguer, like, he really looks into things spiritually in terms of how he feels about things. I think that's one of the things that really put the players off me. And I think they must have read that book and been thinking, I don't know if this is the boss that I thought he was. I think that's one of the things that led to the downfall. But yeah, he's, you know, I don't suppose he would turn down Mbappe, for example. You know what I mean? He wants to see a player's personality, etc. I'm sure Mbappe looks like a great kid anyway. I'm sure his personality-wise, in terms of his drive and determination, is in the right place. Bad example. I just mean that I'm pretty sure there were players that he turned down at Spurs who Levy would have bought for him. I'm convinced by that. Jeff Holt saying to Josh Riddle, I'm proud to have been in attendance at the 88 Littlewoods Cup final for Luton. Notorious Nerd, name one manager, striker, midfielder and goalkeeper for the inaugural Premier League Hall of Fame. Sir Alex Ferguson, Alan Shearer. Excuse me. It's got to be Ryan Giggs first, really, I think, hasn't it? Make a case for Gary Speed, maybe, as an alternative, might be a nice call. And Peter Schmeichel. Jeff saying, hey James, do you have enough knowledge of Luton Town to comment on any previous players? Foster, Harford, Steen. Yeah, Foster was the man with the headband, weren't he? He always wore a headband. Mick Harford was a lump of a forward. He did all right in spells. He was a typical old-fashioned number 9. Steen was a good little forward. Yeah. Danny saying, best football chant song. I'm a Hibs fan, so I'm extremely biased, but Sunshine on Leaf is by far the best. Danny, I upset you, pal. I don't even know how that goes, mate. I'm obviously going to say Spurs songs, aren't I? So you're always going to lean for your own club songs, aren't you? Heavy Finger 7, you're feeling about what should be the next step after the first season of CMFPL. It's been a blessing. Would love it to continue. It's up to the guys. Guys are really open-minded about it. I'd recommend listening to when David Simplegoal and James Alapran went on to the Scouts YouTube video with Andy from Let's Talk FPL. It was brilliantly hosted by Andy. He did such a great job on that particular video. And they were talking then about the possible future of the game. So it wouldn't be for my say of what I think's right or wrong. I think, look, we're coming up to game week 12. Game week 38 is still, I don't know, 3 months away. It's the end of August, isn't it? Let's see what the lie is for football and the game itself come once we get to like July. You know, come July, it might only be there's 150 active players left and people might have moved on and there might not be. Got to remember the amount of time these 3 guys are putting into that game. You know, they've got real jobs, real lives. How's it going to be if they're back working full-time, shifts, all that kind of thing? So there is no what will it be or what won't it be. And I'm certainly not going to put the pressure out on the guys to demand or want more. I suspect if football is in the same state in 3 months' time, then, yeah, let's do it. Brian Yule, Luton won the League Cup question. I had absolutely no memory of that. Guess unlike Coventry and Wimbledon win the FA Cup, it never gets talked about. Brian, that's what my podcasts are for. You should be listening to Wednesday's quiz. You still won't know the Luton answer because it wasn't one of the answers. FPL Badger agrees. Sunshine and Leaf. What's he saying about Sunshine and Leaf? Agrees. Sunshine and Leaf is one of the best songs when it's loud and in full swing. Sorry, I'm going to be ignorant here. I don't know it. Don't at me with the YouTube video and shit. I don't care. Danny McDonald, what's going on with the Spurs ownership? They're looking to sell. No, Danny, they're not. But that day is coming. That day is coming. It will happen. It will happen in this decade, I'm convinced. FPL Chancellor Alan Kirbyshey up there for top trophyless Premier League managers, in my opinion. That's a good shout. Incredible job at Charlton. Did well in his brief time at West Ham. I like that, Dan. I think that's a terrific shout, mate. Brian Newell, Sunshine and Leaf is amazing at a full Easter Road. Bloody hell. God, I wish it'd been a Hibs. Missing out here, aren't I? Josh Riddle says at FPL Badger, I remember Luton being the first non-league club to beat a Prem team away from home. What a day. Yeah, Mark would disagree with that comment, being the Norwich fan that was on the receiving end. Anyway, I've been yapping on for about 55 minutes, guys. So I will leave it there. Thanks for joining in. I hope I give you something to do for a little bit of time on this Friday afternoon. Bank holiday, innit? I keep bloody forgetting that. That's weird for us UKers to have a bank holiday on a Friday. Not that it really, really matters. Anyhow, hopefully Sunday with government and Premier League meetings, which I originally thought everything was meant to be yesterday, but it seems not. Sunday, Monday, I think we're going to know what's happening next. We're generally going to know. So I think from Monday's podcast, we might be heading in a very different direction. So I'll probably wait till then to say what the content's going to be for the week rather than now, because our plans may very well change, and I'm very open to being changed. If we look like an FPL restart is going to happen, then obviously, yes, we'll very much begin to get back into the FPL content for you guys. Stay safe. Be nice to each other. That's the most important thing at the moment. Take care of the loved ones and all that. I'll obviously be back tomorrow with Champman, game week 12, 2:30 till 5. Don't forget as well, guys, 24-hour stream, 15 days time, 6 a.m. Saturday, May 23rd till 6 a.m. Sunday, May 24th. We've got a ton of guests lined up. I've probably booked too many, to tell you the truth. We've got loads of things happening during the day. We are trying to max out that 24 hours for a full schedule. I do not want to leave anything to empty space. So we're going to have a blast of it. We're going to be raising money for the NHS. Keep that one for your diaries. Don't expect to join in for the 24 hours, but join in for what you can. Other than that, I hopefully see many of you tomorrow for Champman FPL, and have a very good weekend. So take care. Bye for now. Oh, for the audio, cue music, man child. You bastard.